Hi guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome to my July reading wrap-up. I'm currently trying a new setup for some like chilled sit-down videos. We're just chit-chatting at my desk and we're gonna be yapping about the 9 books that I read in July. I will be rating, reviewing, and ranking all of these 9 books. So what that means is that we will be starting with 9th place and then working our way up to 1st place. So starting off in 9th place, and I'm really upset about this, okay? I am so upset about this. I was so excited about this book. It was a very anticipated new release, and it is a book that absolutely everyone loves. And that is Bury Your Bones in the Midnight Soil, aka Bob by V.E. Schwab. If you've watched any of my recent reading vlogs or anything like that, you would know that it took me pretty much the entire month of July to read this book. I am still struggling with a rating for this book because it is definitely in the 3-star range. I know a lot of people think that a 3-star is a bad rating, but a 3-star is something that I still recommend. I just didn't really enjoy the book. It's like a baseline 3-star. Didn't really enjoy it, not super memorable. It is definitely a book that I recommend. Anything below a 3-star, no. This is definitely above just a strict 3-star, but I just don't really know where it lies. I feel like it might be at, like, my gut's telling me it's a 3.25, but because of the hype of the book, I want to give it a 3.5. I don't know, that sounds really bad and disingenuous, but I just really have no idea where I lie with this book. I felt like the premise of this book was very intriguing. I was just so excited to read this, especially because this is my first V.E. Schwab book, and I know people absolutely adore her books. This is definitely not deterring me from reading her other book. With this book for me personally was the pacing. I just felt like I was bored like 80% of the book, at the very least 80% of the book. Honestly, could not care less with what was happening. I felt like there was one specific character that we got so much boring backstory on, and I understand why we got it, and I'm not at all saying that it should be cut out, but me personally, I just found myself growing bored with it. And I did like the jumping timelines at some part, but sometimes I felt like with one specific character, like I just talked about, it dragged on for way too long, and she definitely is the most important character out of any of them. I don't know, I just wasn't very invested in the story. I wasn't invested with our character. I honestly did not care what was happening at all. It took me like 2.5, 3 weeks to read this book, and that is not normal for me. I hate to say it, but I was disappointed that I didn't love this book. I wasn't necessarily disappointed in the book, because anytime that I don't like a popular book, I just blame it on me. Like, I just think it's my fault as to why I didn't like it. So I'm not at all saying it's the book's fault. I feel like it definitely was just a me thing. Personal preference, I don't know. This one definitely is my least favorite book that I read this month, but it also is in fact a 3-star, 3-something star. I obviously didn't hate it. I just didn't really like it all too much. This is me closing the chapter on this book. It just wasn't for me. So Bob is in 9th place. Okay, so that was the only book that I didn't really like this month. The rest of the books I did really love, so no matter what the ranking is, I absolutely adored these books. So coming in 9th place is actually the last book that I read in July, is Half a Soul. It's on my July TBR, so a pat on the back for that. And this is like a 3.75. It's not a 4-star because I wasn't totally invested with our characters. I did just have a really good time while reading this book. It's giving fantasy Bridgerton set in a fairy world. A very cozy, whimsical book. This was just a lot of fun. She's also really short, so it's just a quick and easy read, but a very fun read. I really liked her main characters. You guys know I absolutely love Emily Wilds, and this gave me similar feelings, not the same feelings, because Emily Wilds is near and dear to my heart. Glad that I finally read it because I've had it for quite a bit now, so definitely recommend this book. It was very good. Coming in at 7th place, we have Curse of Sins. This is the sequel to Curse of Saints, and I did read this in a reading vlog. I will leave all of the reading vlogs that I read any of these books in the description. Pretty much every book that I read during the month is included in a reading vlog. If you are wondering if there's a reading vlog attaining to any of these books, there probably is, so just check that out. But Curse of Sins is a 3.75 star, and the reason why this comes above Half a Soul is because since it is the sequel, I am attached to the characters and the plot and the world itself, and it is more of a basic fantasy as well, because with this one it is set in the Regency era. I did really enjoy this book. I definitely was a tad bit disappointed with it because I really enjoyed Curse of Saints, and I just really enjoyed the pacing, the plot, the world building, the characters, the politics, the magic system. I enjoyed everything about Curse of Saints. I was very excited to read the second book. This one, the pacing felt much slower than Curse of Saints. I mean, there's that, but it just felt like we were going over the same things over and over and over again, and there was the same miscommunication throughout pretty much the entire book. But I still really, really enjoyed this book. I love our main characters. I love Aya and Will so much, and the ending of this book had me on the edge of my seat. It was the only time in the entire book that I felt like any sort of like, you know, when I'm reading a fantasy, I need that throughout the entire book. I need some twists and turns. I need whatever it may be, but I only felt like that in the last like 20 pages. But that did make me really, really excited for the new release. It comes out soon, within the next, does it come out in August? I do really recommend this series. It just feels like a basic fantasy. Aya is the Queen Spy Master, and then Will is her second. Will's her second in command, if I'm not mistaken. Kind of like disliked each other their entire lives. It's not necessarily an enemies to lovers, it's like a disdain to lovers a little bit. I'm very excited for the next book in this series. Then coming in at 6th place, this may surprise some people and I'm a little scared, but we have The Dragon Republic. This is the second book in the Poppy War trilogy. And this series is a very, very beloved series, as it should be. This book is most people's favorite book in the series, but I am rating this 4 stars, which is still a really good rating, okay? But I was really expecting to rate this 5 stars, given that it's like everyone's favorite book in the series. I am a little upset, not at the book, at myself. As I've already said with Berry Bones and the Midnight Soil, I blame myself for any opinion I have of any book, because this series is phenomenally written. Now, sometimes the storytelling part of these books I don't necessarily love. I definitely went in with really, really high expectations, especially for this book, and with the plot twist that happens at the very end, based on what everyone was saying, I was expecting to have a visceral reaction to the ending. And when the plot twist happened, I didn't think that that was the actual plot twist. Like, I really didn't. I was like, okay, yeah. Like, it made sense to me. I was very disappointed and upset with the character, but I wasn't necessarily surprised or shocked. And I was really expecting to be surprised and shocked. Based on what happened at the end of Poppy War, the first book, the way that everyone talks about the ending of this book is that it's worse than the ending of the first book. And so I was like, I don't know how this is gonna get topped, because if you know, you know, the ending of the first book was absolutely crazy. The entire book, I just kept thinking to myself, like, what is going to top that? What in the world is going to top that? Nothing. It didn't top it, literally at all. It was just like, yeah, this happens quite a bit. I don't know. Like, I was expecting it to be something completely unimaginable, and it wasn't. Like, I kind of saw it coming a little bit. I didn't necessarily predict it, but again, I just wasn't shocked by it. As my justification for me not rating this a 5 star, okay, I am very, very intrigued to see Ren's character arc. I know her character arc is not of a normal main character, and so I am excited to see what happens with that. I'm very interested to see the story through, but I just don't think that this series is necessarily for me, which is totally fine. So I don't know. I am a little like nervous to state my opinion, because I feel like people are going to come for me and say that like I don't know literature, I don't know good writing, and I don't appreciate something outside of the norm, which may be true, honestly. The way that some people talk about this series genuinely terrifies me. Like, to state anything that isn't like outstanding about it, I don't know. But I am excited to see Ren's aura, because everyone says that Ren has like the most aura out of any female main character, and I just don't see it yet. But again, 4 stars, still a really good rating. Since I am disappointed with not really enjoying the series as much as I thought, I don't really have like too many uppity things to say. Anyways, let's move on. Okay, so coming in 5th place. So in retrospect, having this in 6th place and then the next book in 5th place is really crazy. Fully acknowledge that, but this is based on how much I enjoyed the book. So judgments here. Coming in 5th place, we have Miss Twilight over here. I have never once read Twilight. I have watched the movies I don't know how many times. Believe me when I say it's quite a bit of my lifetime I have spent watching these movies, and I have been slowly thrifting these books. I've just been wanting to read these books for obvious reasons. I literally visited Forks for my high school graduation present, so I am in fact a diehard fan, okay? But I feel like I can't say that until I read all of the books. I finally read Twilight, and this is 4 stars. It feels really, really weird rating this book or any of these books in the series because I do in fact have a bias towards the movies, because the movies are such a comfort watch for me, and so it is a little difficult rating the books, because if I could I would just rate them all 5 stars or just not rate them at all, to be honest. But I had to separate the movies from the books and like the attachment that I have towards these characters and the movies and everything like that. In my opinion, this is just a baseline 4 stars. I had a really great time reading this book. I have absolutely no complaints. I had the time of my life reading this book, let me tell you. Everyone always says that the books are better than the movies, okay? But I just had to see it for my own eyes. I really did. And I've only read the first book, but the books are 1,000 times better than the movies. Now, I never said that the movies were like the best pieces of film ever made, okay? They're like so bad that they're good. This book was like actually good. I was expecting to be like kind of cringed out the entire time, but as we know, lines in books hit so much harder than they do when they're spoken aloud. I really just had the best time while reading this book. It was so good. This is your sign to pick up the books if you haven't already, to reread them if you want to reread them. So I am very glad that I picked up this book. And then coming in 4th place, we have A Curse Carved in Bone. I rated this 4.25 stars. This is the second book in the, what is this even called? Saga of the Unfated. I actually went to the signing for this book back in May. There we go. And it's taken me 2 months to actually pick it up. I am so glad that I picked it up. The audiobook became available for me on Libby, and I was waiting for the whole to become available because the audiobooks for this series are so good. This is a Norse-inspired fantasy, aka Viking fantasy, and the narrators have accents. They're honestly some of my favorite audiobooks, if I'm being totally honest. It is one of the few times where I actually prefer the audiobooks to physically reading them, just because of how immersive the narrators are. I thoroughly enjoyed this book. I feel like it was the perfect ending to this duology, and when I tell you the plot twists that are in this book go crazy, they go crazy. I did not see anything coming, not a single bit of it. And this is technically a romantasy. It is very heavily focused around our female main character, Freya. I do love a good romantasy, but I need it to have depth, and I feel like this book really brought the depth to our 2 main characters, because we also have Bjorn's perspective, so it is a dual point of view. Is this book so good. He's my favorite male main character that I read during the month of July. He is just absolute perfection, and his point of view was really what this book needed. I have absolutely no notes for this book, except I wish it was longer. I think that's the reason why it's like a 4.25. It honestly might just be a 4.5. Based on how I'm talking about it right now, it might be a 4.5. I do wish that it was just a little bit longer, because I wanted some more emotional connection with the characters, and I do have that connection with the characters, but I didn't have it for enough time as I would like, if that makes sense. But at the same time, I do feel like this book was very fast-paced. Like, there was something happening every single page. It really kept me on my toes. I just really enjoyed this book. I 100% recommend the series. If you are an audiobook girly, definitely listen to the audiobooks. If you are not an audiobook girly and you want to get into audiobooks, listen to the audiobooks. They're so good. I absolutely love this book, if you cannot tell. Now we are in our top 3. And funny enough, all of these books are like cozy feel-good books, which don't usually rank super highly for me. Coming in 3rd, we have Summer Romance by Annabelle Monaghan. This was actually my first Annabelle Monaghan book, and the only romance book that I read this entire month, which is wild to me. But I rated this 4.5 stars. I feel like I honestly don't have too much to say about this book. I just really enjoyed this book. Yes, it is a romance, but it is found in the fiction section, not the romance section. And so it is mostly focused on our female main character, Allie. She's kind of just struggled with her different identities of being a mom, of being a wife, of being a daughter. This book is kind of just about her finding herself again. We have Ethan, who, there is a trope in this book that I absolutely love, is the relation he is to somebody. I absolutely love this trope. Ethan just kind of came into her life at the perfect time. I just really liked the depth of this book while also being lighthearted and emotional. Just such a good book, and I just thoroughly enjoyed this. And then coming in 2nd place, this book really shocked me. When you see what book is in 2nd place right now, I think you guys will even be shocked, because I have almost unhauled this book multiple times. I've owned this book for quite a bit. I just genuinely never thought that I would read it. It's not that I didn't think that I'd like it, I just didn't think that I'd be too into it. So this is really shocking that this comes in 2nd place, and that it was an almost 5-star read. That is House in the Cerulean Sea, right? Isn't that crazy? Compared to the other 7 books I've oh my god, 7 books that I've read this month. It is crazy that this comes in second place. But those other books do not compete to the feelings that I felt while I was reading this book. This book just really pulled at my heartstrings that I didn't think could be pulled. I don't know. Literally about an orphanage of magical creatures and this man who works for a company who regulates these orphanages. He lives with them for several weeks and he is sent to this house on the Cerulean Sea to oversee this house of magical creatures. And it is just so beautiful and magical and just like incredible. This book was honestly just incredible. And there are just so many beautiful lines and quotes in this book, and it really just makes you reflect on just everything. I don't know, oh my god, I love this book. I love the kids in this book. I just felt like I was in the house myself. It is just such a heartwarming book, and I genuinely cannot recommend it enough. This book was just beautiful, and I think in times like this especially, it is very important to read books like this. So 10 out of 10 would recommend. Absolutely love this book. Yeah. Okay, now it is time for my first place book, the only 5-star that I had this month, and you guys probably know what it is. Follow me on Goodreads, Fable, whatever it may be. You already know what book this is, okay? We have yet another cozy fantasy, and that is Emily Wilde's Compendium of Lost Tales. This book was so freaking good. It is just a warm hug in a book. It is the coziest of cozy reads. It is just such a fairy tale magical book. It's just such a magical book. I have never read a series like this. I don't think I will ever read a series like this. It's so different from what I normally read in fantasy, and I am just so glad that I read this series. The first book I didn't really love. It took me a minute to get into. Stakes were really low. It was a lot more low stakes and boring than the rest of the series. Like, the first book is Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies, and it is quite literally Emily Wilde writing her Encyclopedia of Fairies. It is about her going around this village, collecting pieces of information about different plants, fairies, creatures, whatever it may be. She's literally just writing her encyclopedia. Rereading it, I will love the first book, but the first book just feels so like different from the rest of the series. It still carries the same vibe, but there wasn't too much depth in the first book. Then we get the second book where we get more of Emily and Wendell and more adventures and more high stakes, and there's also more characters in the book as well. Each book progressively gets better, hence why this book is a 5-star. I am just absolutely obsessed with the series. I don't think this series is for everybody, and I say this every single time I talk about the series, but I do think it is worth giving it a shot. It is just such a magical book. I will be rereading the series this year, either before or after I go to Scotland in October. I don't know, I just really, really love the series, and I, again, cannot recommend it enough. This is very deservingly my first place book from the month of July. Okay, so these are all of the books that I read in the month of July. Like I said, I had a fantastic reading month. My average rating is probably somewhere in the 4 stars. Really did like every single book that I read this month. Again, Barrier Bones and the Midnight Soil was not much of a love for me, but I did still enjoy it. And I feel like this is one of my favorite reading months that I've had in a while, just because of how wide of a range I went with my reading this month, and because I did read quite a lot of books off of my physical TBR, which is my #1 goal recently. So I hope you guys enjoyed hearing me yap about all of these books. Let me know your opinions on these books and what your favorite book you read in July was. But it is unfortunately the end of today's video. I hope you guys enjoy. If you did, as always, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.